It was a gloomy afternoon at Northbrook High School. I was staying back to finish some last-minute assignments in the empty classroom. As the clock ticked, an unsettling silence fell upon the school, followed by an unexpected announcement over the intercom: lockdown. This is not a drill. Rushing to the nearest classroom, I found my friends huddled together, panic etched on their faces. No one knew the reason for the lockdown, but fear hung heavy in the air. Suddenly, we heard faint whispers echoing down the hallways, growing louder with each passing moment. The eerie voices seemed to be coming from nowhere and everywhere at once. As the whispers intensified, an overwhelming feeling of dread consumed us. Shadows danced on the walls, seemingly alive with malevolence. One by one, our cell phones began to emit a haunting tune, displaying distorted images of ourselves in various stages of terror. It was as if an unseen presence was toying with our minds. In an attempt to escape the torment, we decided to break out of the classroom and make a run for the school exit. But as we approached the main entrance, the doors slammed shut, trapping us inside. The whispers grew louder, transforming into maniacal laughter that echoed through the halls. With no way out, we sought refuge in the school's auditorium. But even there, we were not alone. Flickering lights revealed shadowy figures darting around the stage and disappearing into the darkness. The feeling of being watched overwhelmed us as we realized that we were not dealing with something human. As the lockdown dragged on, we became more and more desperate for answers. The intercom remained silent, leaving us to face the malevolent force in the shadows. We tried to barricade ourselves in the principal's office, hoping for some reprieve, but our efforts were futile. Hours turned into an eternity as the haunting echoes continued. Some students claimed to have seen the ghostly figure of a former teacher, said to have died under mysterious circumstances. The chilling tale circulated through the school, heightening our terror. As dawn broke, the lockdown was finally lifted, but the trauma stayed with us forever. Some students transferred to other schools, unable to cope with the horror they had experienced. Northbrook High School was forever changed, haunted by the ghostly whispers that left an indelible mark on our souls. It was a day like any other at Willowbrook Academy until a thunderous boom echoed through the corridors. An ancient portrait of the school's founder, Madeline Willowbrook, had fallen from the wall during an earthquake drill. Little did we know that the portrait held something more sinister than just the likeness of a long-dead headmistress. Later that afternoon, a strange unease settled over the school. The teachers became erratic, their eyes glazed over, as if possessed by an unseen force. The intercom crackled to life, emitting an eerie voice that sent shivers down our spines. Lockdown initiated. No one leaves. The mistress demands obedience. Confused and terrified, we took cover in our classrooms, hoping for the nightmare to end. But as the minutes stretched into hours, the school's atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive. Unsettling whispers echoed through the air, carrying the same eerie message: obey the mistress. During the lockdown, I caught glimpses of the portrait out of the corner of my eye. Madeline Willowbrook's stern face seemed to shift, her eyes following me as I moved. I couldn't shake the feeling that her malevolent gaze was targeting me specifically. As darkness enveloped the school, the haunting became more intense. Objects levitated, doors slammed shut, and the temperature plummeted. The possessed teachers began reciting bizarre incantations, their voices blending into an otherworldly chorus. Terrified, a group of us decided to confront the source of the horror. Armed with makeshift protective charms, we ventured to the portrait room, where the malevolent image of Madeline Willowbrook hung. As we approached, the portrait came to life, her face contorting with rage. The room filled with an unnatural wind, and the walls seemed to close in around us. We realized that the portrait had become a vessel for an ancient malevolent spirit, seeking revenge from beyond the grave. In a desperate attempt to break the curse, we set the portrait ablaze, hoping to banish the vengeful spirit. But instead, the fire intensified, taking on a life of its own, and the room filled with malicious laughter. The possessed teachers surrounded us, their eyes glowing with an unholy light. One by one, we were ensnared by the ghostly figures, our bodies and minds no longer under our control. I felt myself being pulled into the portrait, trapped in an eternal nightmare alongside Madeline Willowbrook and her legion of tormented souls. The lockdown ended the next morning, but I was never the same. My body was back in the classroom, but my soul remained trapped within the haunted portrait, forever under the control of the malevolent mistress of Willowbrook Academy. It was the day of the annual computer science competition at Techville High School, and our team had spent weeks preparing for the event. As we entered the computer lab, an unnatural chill gripped the room, even though the air conditioning was off. We shrugged it off as pre-competition nerves and got to work. Midway through the competition, the school went into lockdown without warning. Confused, we huddled together, hoping for some clarity. The computer screens flickered to life, displaying a cryptic message in blood-red letters: "Abandon all hope, for the ghosts of tech past have arisen." Suddenly, the doors to the computer lab slammed shut, trapping us inside. The room plunged into darkness, illuminated only by the eerie glow of the screens. Unsettling laughter filled the air, and we realized that something supernatural was at play. As we tried to escape, the computers began to glitch, displaying horrifying images of past students who had mysteriously disappeared. Their faces contorted with agony, warning us to leave the lab before it was too late. Ignoring the warnings, we continued to search for an exit, but the layout of the lab seemed to change with every step we took. The walls shifted, the ceiling lowered, and the floor trembled beneath our feet. It was as if the room itself was alive and determined to keep us imprisoned. With each passing moment, the malevolent presence grew stronger. The computers started typing out ominous messages on their own, recounting tales of students who had met tragic ends within the lab's walls. We were caught in a web of terror spun by the ghosts of Techville High's dark past. The haunting escalated, with objects flying across the room and the temperature plummeting to bone-chilling levels. I could feel an invisible force tugging at my clothes, trying to drag me into the depths of the digital abyss. In a desperate attempt to break free, we rallied our knowledge of technology and tried to override the lab's security systems. But the ghostly presence fought back, manifesting as a spectral figure that materialized before us. Its eyes gleamed with malice as it reached out to ensnare us. Somehow, we managed to reboot the lab's mainframe, causing the malevolent presence to falter momentarily. Seizing the opportunity, we made a mad dash for the exit. The doors swung open just as the lockdown was lifted, and we spilled out into the safety of the school hallway. The computer lab was forever tainted by the spirits of its past, and from that day on, no one dared to enter the cursed room. Techville High School's haunted computer lab became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers that lurked within the digital realm. At Ridgemont High, the legend of the Phantom Janitor had circulated for generations. It was said that the spirit of an old janitor who had tragically died on the job haunted the school's hallways, seeking solace for his untimely demise. For years, students had shared chilling encounters, and I'd always believed them to be mere ghost stories until that fateful day. On a stormy afternoon, the school's intercom crackled to life, announcing a sudden lockdown. Thunder roared outside, intensifying the eerie atmosphere within the building. As my classmates and I took cover in the nearest classroom, an unsettling coldness enveloped us, and I knew the Phantom Janitor had returned. Strange noises echoed through the halls, the sound of footsteps shuffling along the linoleum floors. But the most chilling part was the faint sobbing that seemed to be emanating from the shadows. It was as if the Phantom Janitor was reliving his final moments over and over again. The lights flickered as we heard a raspy voice whispering unintelligible words. I couldn't shake the feeling that the ghostly presence was searching for something that would bring peace to his restless soul. As the minutes dragged on, the paranormal activity escalated. Classroom doors creaked open, revealing the disheveled state of the rooms, as if a spectral hand had rifled through them. Our breaths became shallow as we awaited the next manifestation of the Phantom Janitor. Suddenly, the intercom crackled again, but this time it carried a heart-wrenching plea for forgiveness. I never meant for this to happen. Please forgive me. The voice was filled with regret and sorrow, leaving us haunted by the tragedy that had befallen the janitor all those years ago. Determined to help the tormented spirit find peace, a few of us ventured into the depths of the school, following the trail of flickering lights and phantom sounds. We discovered the janitor's old storage room, untouched for decades. Inside, we found an old photo of him and a letter addressed to his long-lost family. Realizing that the phantom janitor was desperately trying to reconnect with his past, we decided to hold a memorial service in his honor. With candles flickering, we read the letter aloud, sharing the janitor's story with tears in our eyes. As we finished, a gentle breeze swept through the room, and the atmosphere shifted from foreboding to serene. The sobbing ceased, and we felt a sense of closure wash over us. It was as if the phantom janitor had finally found peace, his soul liberated from the shackles of his tragic past. The lockdown was lifted, and Ridgemont High returned to its usual routine. The legend of the phantom janitor lived on, but with a new twist. The spirit of the janitor was no longer a harbinger of fear, but a reminder of the importance of compassion and understanding in the face of the unknown.